Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to just say some things before we start this video. So, first off, I want to give a huge, and I mean huge shout out to Mighty Mapper 123. This man right here has put everything he's got into his Armyman series. I'm going to be honest with you, he's the first person to ever put this up on YouTube. I highly recommend you check him out. He's doing this great war with these World War I troops, which I think is absolutely awesome. He's the first person to kind of start this. Then I think Baron, what's his name? Baron something. I can't remember. He's kind of the second person. Then there was Dinaplex. I'm not very good at pronouncing names. And then I think was me. So I'm the fourth wheel. Like, I'm not the biggest wheel. I'm not the one who's guiding everything. I just want to give a massive shout out to maybe all these guys. Please go check them out. They are awesome. They do stuff even better than me. And pay respect to the founding fathers of the Armymen series on YouTube. I think it's the right thing to do. I also wanted to talk to you about our world map. Now, the world map has changed drastically since I've last showed it. There's so many new nations, there's so many new stuff. So I want to go through everything and kind of show you the world map. So first we have the blues, the Great North Blue. There used to be the Great South Blue, but they were destroyed by the Red Union between the war between those two countries. Luckily, the North Blue managed to resupply the Southern Blue and push back the Reds. So that is something. That's where we are right there. Also talking about the Reds, we have the Red Union. I want to point out these little stars here are capitals. The bigger the plus, or the cross, I guess you could say, the bigger the city. So just keep that in mind. Next we have the Great Green Frontier. The Green Frontier is, well, obviously the Greens. They have the Great Bay below them, the high mountains above them, the Great Plains to their I guess that would be right, and to the left is the open farmlands. So it's very interesting. The Greens have actually captured so much land from the Tans, and now that the Tans and Greens have finally ended their war, due to the fact that the Tans are kind of in civil war right now, means a lot. Above the Greens we have the Greyhounds. Now there's not much to be shown about the Greyhounds. You've seen the Ultramarines, which are pretty damn cool if you ask me. The Greyhounds rely more on technology than their own men, so they do have somewhat mech warriors, but they're mainly their main army is the Ultramarines. So it's very small but very powerful. But if you defeat the Ultramarines and some of the AI or the robots that they have, they're basically defenseless. Beside them, we have the Silver Nation. The Silver Nation once was actually red, dark red. A commander, one of the best red tank commanders, known as Vex Vasily, I think it was. He ran away in a battle. He was betrayed by the Reds. The Reds were sent out to kill him with the Orange, actually, funny enough. The Orange felt completely betrayed because he left them, and the Orange came for his life, but the Greens actually came in and saved him. The Greens gave him the option of either rotting in prison for the rest of his life or being sold to the Reds for the highest bidder, or to join them, and he joined them. He actually managed to build up quite a good army, and he became his own nation, the Silver Nation. Then the Silver Nation and the Greens, in our top right, is fighting the Legion. Now they are actually getting their ass kicked by the Purple Horde. Those guys have completely defeated them at the top north, and are pushing them to the Capitol building and back to the beaches. So not doing so well there. We have the Tans, who have just recaptured the capital. As you can see, it's now, tan color. The Resistance only has one village and one main city, so it'll be interesting to see how well they do. Below the Greens, not the Tans, but below the Greens, we have the Rebel Pinkington Fighters and the Scion Traders Dominion. Now, this actually used to be its own country, but then it flew into civil war, and they've been constantly fighting each other. It's only been a year since they've actually managed to have peace, but it's every time they've had peace, it's just been after a year or two, they just go right back to war. Funny enough, actually, the Rebel Pinkington Fighters kind of have the Tans in a little bit of a vulnerable position, as below the Scion Traders Dominion is no man's land. It's a completely swamped area owned by the Tans. So if the Rebel Pinkingtons, especially now because the Tans have been not defeated by the Greens, but have been heavily damaged, and they're in civil war, they could take that. That'll be interesting. That gives me an idea. So here we are at Yellowgeria. When the Reds were at war with the Blue, and they're actually doing really well, there are many Tan people who wanted to join them. And so many of them took up arms and became the Orange Union. And their whole goal was to guard I guess that would be west side of the Blues. Yeah, never eat shredded wheat. Yeah, it would be the west side. The Blues started kicking their butt. The Orange didn't really want to fight anymore, but the Reds said you have to keep fighting, even though the Orange lost their capitals. So the Reds, pissed off, sent soldiers in and tried to force their own rule against them, but the Orange retaliated and actually defeated the Red army that was trying to force them to do stuff, and scaredness of obviously the Reds retaliating, they gave up the last of the land to the Blues for ships. They took those ships, went all the way through the Blues, across the Greens, over the high mountains, and down through a little river between the Greens and the Silver Nations, in the high mountains to the Tandran territories. They gave up all their plastic, they gave up most of their weapons besides maybe some rifles and pistols and a couple shotguns. And the Tans gave them these 4 islands. And because, they no longer wanted to represent the Red, they became yellow. So welcome to Yellowgeria. The islands that the Tans gave them were very barren, but what do you know? There's this one big island that has lots of trees and food, but that is the Dead Island. Now, the Yellows don't know the history of the Dead Island. The Dead Island actually has an interesting backstory. When the Purple Legion used to rule, and then they lost their leader, Lord Farrock, and all his high commanders, the Purples basically retreated from the mainland. They were pushed out. And so the Purples first took over that little place where the Legion was, the Purple Legion. But they also captured this island. And on this island, many of them still knew magic, and they tried to resurrect their leader and many of their commanders and much of their army. And something happened. They failed, and they were killed by their own magic. So something tells me something is on that island that, should be long time dead, but it's not. We have this small little island over here. These are the light grays. I haven't really thought about anything. I was thinking about making World War I, but then Mighty Mapper is kind of doing this World War I thing, so I'm going to hold on that. And then finally, we have this white big island and 4 smaller islands. I'm still working on an idea of what to put here, and I thought maybe if you guys want to help me, you can help me come up with something. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on it. I'm still thinking of ideas. If you guys want to put down an idea in the comment for this, maybe, and it can be any color. It can be any color that isn't red, green, blue, gray, silver, purple, pink, cyan, yellow, or black. So it can be any other color. Oh, and light gray. It can be any other color besides those ones. So think of a color, think of a name that's relatable to that color, and think about what faction that can be. Anyway, this has been the update to the world map. I guess this is kind of its own video. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.